I hear a lot from people that they feel like they're doing the right things. I feel like I'm working out enough. I feel like I'm eating pretty healthy. I feel like I'm not drinking enough. And that plays right into this ignorance debt theory of mine, because you don't actually know. You don't really know. You don't know what you don't know. And if we don't have data, then we don't really know. My name is Brian Pannuzzo. I help successful professionals build an elite body and mind without sacrificing work or time with family. I know your life because I lived it for 20 years. If I can do this stuff, if the hundreds of people that I've now worked with inside of corporate America can do it, so can you. And oh, by the way, make more money doing it. Oftentimes people think the sacrifices they have to make outside the office will cost them results inside the office. And that is the biggest mistake I made for 15 years of my life. And it is a misconception that I love proving wrong over and over again with every single person and every single team that I work with. Welcome to the show. My name is Brian. This is the Success Lift podcast. I hope you're having a fantastic summer. We are now into the month of August. Another month is gone. We are on the back end, the back half of the year. It'll be the fourth quarter soon. August will be done. Summer will be done. For many of you, you got kids going back to school within the next week or two at most. For my Northeast fam, I know that doesn't happen until the first week or so of September, but summer's winding down. It is moving quickly. I always remind you guys of this. We're going to be in 2026 soon. We're going to be in holiday season. We're going to be into next summer again before you know it. And what are you doing? What are you doing with your time? What are you doing with the effort that you're putting in to get the results that you want? And that's part of this week's message to you, and this topic that I've been talking about recently in my emails and my social media posts, and to my clients who have decided to pay this debt down quickly by working with a professional, and whether that's me or somebody else, the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of great coaches and programs out there. I do not care. If you're listening to this podcast, I know that you care at least a tiny bit about making yourself a better human being for the people around you, for yourself. And if you're doing that, I know that you care about progress in your life. And the one thing that grinds my gears with people like you, when I say people like you, I'm referring to somebody like me who used to do the same thing you're doing and pay the same debt and incur the same costs that you do. I don't want to see it happen anymore. The concept of ignorance debt is something that when I explain it to a very successful professional who's got a ton of money in the bank and evidence to support that they are an elite professional, they tend to scoff at it because they're very smart people and they know a lot of things. But the reality is that you don't know what you don't know when it comes to aspects of transforming your mental and physical performance outside of the office. Ignorance debt is a very costly thing to accrue for a number of months and years. And what is ignorance debt? Well, I'm sure you can conceptualize what it is. It's kind of just like regular old monetary debt that we accumulate, but it ain't the good kind. It ain't the tax deductible kind. It ain't the kind that we can leverage and do positive things with. It is the kind that silently accumulates on us, that ultimately spirals in the wrong direction in the form of you waking up in another 5, 10, maybe 15 years. Maybe it's much less than that. Maybe it's 5 months from now. I didn't know that my wake-up call was coming in 2015. It just showed up knocking at my door, and it left a huge pile of shit at the doorstep for me to clean up. And wouldn't you know, I was responsible for about 99.7% of that bag of poop being at my doorstep. And so you're going to have to deal with it either way. why not deal with this stuff now when the inflation costs and the accumulating effects, negative effects of bad debt, of this ignorance debt, doesn't have time to continue to accrue? And so let's just cover quickly what ignorance debt is. It is, according to the World Wide Webs, the accumulated burden that results from decisions made without sufficient knowledge, context, or understanding. Over time, this debt compounds and leads to inefficiencies, missteps, and costly course corrections. How many times have you tried one thing, gone back to square one, tried the next, gone back, lost 10, gained 12, lost 5, gained 7, over and over and over again? And I'm here to tell you that, unfortunately, part of the reason why that's happening is because you don't know shit. You don't know the most effective way to get the result that you're looking for. And that's okay. The first step is to understand that you don't know what you don't know. There are 4 stages of consciousness, 4 stages of learning, it's called. Maybe you've heard of this out there before. There is unconscious incompetence, okay? I did not know that I was burning my life almost to the ground for a period of 10 to 15 years leading up to 2015, when my life as I knew it, married with kids and happy and to the public looking like I had everything in place and successful and all of these things, board of trustees at my country club, one of the youngest people ever, in nice cars and vacations. And then all of a sudden, my wife knocks on the door, proverbially. She really knocked on the side of my head and said, I'm not so sure about this. That was when I went from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence. I now know that what I was doing was not producing the results that I wanted to in my life. And fortunately, in that stage, you cannot go back. I cannot go back to being a dummy. In some ways, it's actually better off for a period of time because you're blissfully unaware that you're doing things that are going to ultimately be your downfall. But I'm here to tell you that the sooner you learn that you don't know what you don't know, the sooner you can at least be aware and then start to make some changes, whether that be in a structured program with a coach, or whether you start to chip away at them by yourself on your own with an accountability buddy. It doesn't matter. I do not care. So what I thought I would do is go through some very common things that people do when they don't know shit, when they don't really know what they don't know. And most of them will be health and fitness related, because tangibly, that's usually a place where we can say, yeah, that makes total sense. It's more black and white than it is gray area in some other areas like stress management, mindset, mental performance. But there are a few things that we can talk about there too, all right? And so a lot of mistakes that people make that I see when they accumulate this ignorance debt is they're doing things that they hear and see from friends or social media or some ad that popped up about some product or a supplement or some silly detox tea. Intermittent fasting is one of them. That just popped into my head. Intermittent fasting. Now, let me be very clear. Intermittent fasting can be incredibly powerful. I have clients that don't start to eat until lunchtime, and they're wildly successful. But most of the time, people have no idea what they're doing or why they're doing it when they intermittent fast. And they don't really get great results because they don't have a strategy to break their fast. It's not part of an overall plan of looking at their total calories and macros throughout the day. You're severely under consuming protein because you're not getting a meal in. Oftentimes that first meal is not necessarily nutrient dense. It's not satiating. You can find yourself snacking more. You're susceptible to that box of donuts coming in at 10:45 a.m. before your fast is set to break at 11:30, and you're freaking starving. And so you grab a donut or two, and then you broke your fast and you broke your promise, and all of a sudden you go down this rabbit hole 4 days later, and intermittent fasting doesn't work, right? So intermittent fasting works if you execute it as part of an overall plan. Another thing that people make the mistake of when they incur a fair amount of ignorance debt is doing excessive amounts of either high intensity interval training or cardiovascular work to burn calories and change their body composition, i.e. lose weight. And so they don't pay any attention to the foods that they're consuming. They don't pay attention to their intake. They're not managing it properly. They're drinking too much, and they're doing what we all did when we were in our 20s, which is going and blasting ourselves with 3, 4, or maybe even 5 workouts a week, and just thinking that that is offsetting the amount of work. Another piece of ignorance debt that is so popular out there is all your silly wearables that show you your calories burned and your strain index or some fucking proprietary metric of your effort. Again, they're not bad indicators of what you're doing, but they have 0.0 relevance when it comes to you achieving what is most likely most people's goal, which is transforming the way they look and feel. And so stop looking at your Whoop strain and stop looking at your calories burned on your wearable, on your Apple Watch or your Oura Ring or your Whoop or whatever it may be, and start paying attention to the thing that we can actually measure with a high degree of accuracy, which is what you're putting in your mouth, right? I do not give a shit about calories burned when it comes to my clients. It goes into precisely 0.0% of my analysis on a weekly basis when I am looking at my clients' performance. Now, if you want to look at it, cool. If you want to compare strain indexes on your Whoop month over month, if you want to look at calories burned on your Whoop or an Oura or another device week over week or month over month to give you an apples to apples comparison, I've had clients before that have tracked this stuff on a monthly basis, and it's good information to go back and look and say, okay, in the month of May, John, you were much more active according to your device than you were in the month of June. In the month of June, we can total up, because we keep this data, your steps and your calories that you took in, and realize that those numbers didn't increase with the reduction in your Whoop strain or your calories burned on your device. And all of a sudden, John, now we can see that maybe there's a relationship between your activity level dropping a little bit and maybe your consumption level going up. And now we can pinpoint, okay, this might have something to do with it. In fact, it probably does. But I don't give a damn if you're 12.6 or 13.1 or 11.4 on your Whoop. Throw that thing away, all right? It doesn't produce you the results that you actually want. Now, if you want to be a Whoop strain professional and go for your highest number, if you want to hit your leaderboard in your Orange Theory class or your Peloton class, cool, go do that. If that's the goal, if that's your measurement of success, awesome, all right? But it's pretty much no one's measurement of success. They just use it as a benchmark. And I'm here to tell you that it's a bad barometer. It's a bad benchmark. So if you actually want the results that you want, said a bee buzzed my tower there if you're watching on video, then I think you should try a different way. A lot of people prioritize that workout and then they sit on their ass because they are ignorant to the power of walking. And so many people get that 45-minute workout in 4 days a week, and then they sit around too much. I can't tell you how many times I start working with someone because nobody hires me when they haven't tried stuff first, all right? I ain't cheap, but I get great results for people, right? And so most likely people have tried other things before they come to me raising their hand, waving the white flag, all right? If that's the case, then most likely they've been prioritizing a workout. They're going to get their workout in, all right? But what you're not doing is you're not getting a lot of steps in. You're not managing your nutrition. You're not focused on your sleep. You're not managing your mornings and your evenings properly to take advantage of the most amount of time that you have in a day, because I know how busy you are. You're not taking advantage of your weekends enough. I know that you have things for the kids all weekend. I know you have social obligations. So do I, and so do the 50 plus individual clients that I work with and the teams that I work with on a daily basis. So you're not any different than them. I promise you, you're just ignorant to some tools that we can put into play. You may be ignorant that there are simple tools that we can use to deal with stress management, like having a simple meditation practice, like taking control of your mornings and your evenings. When you're in control of your schedule, you are far less stressed. Let me promise you that. Like having some breathing techniques for in the moment at work when you do want to shake everybody that's around you. You can't hit the pause button and go meditate. When I was on the trading desk, I couldn't during a melee of activity, I couldn't just tell everyone, all right, everyone chill out for a few moments. Brian has to go take a 5-minute meditation and just relax for a little while so we can deal with this. Knowing that there's ways to control your breathing to bring you back into either a less sympathetic state or a parasympathetic state so that you can operate at a high level. All of these things are ignorance debt that you are paying on a regular basis. Not understanding the importance of certain macronutrients like protein is a cost that you're paying on a regular basis. Most people just tend to go to far extremes. When you ask them how they lost a few pounds, they say some silly stuff like, I cut out carbohydrates, I got rid of sugar, I reduced alcohol, I did whatever dumb fad diet is going on right now in the nutrition world. And while all of those things work temporarily, we all know they don't work permanently. And so why wouldn't you craft a nutrition program for yourself that you can execute 80 to 90% of the time? And then just like a dial, right? I was explaining this, the time of this recording, I was explaining this to a client this morning on one of our check-in calls. I was telling him that 80% of the time, I eat the exact same foods, whether I'm in a deficit looking to cut my weight, whether I'm in a surplus looking to gain weight, or whether I'm in what we call maintenance. Did you know there were 3 phases? Maintenance, and I'm happy with my body weight. Maybe I'm focused on just living my life and focusing on my family and my business, or I'm focused on something else, which may be like performance related. Maybe my athleticism is something that I've been focused on recently. I want to be a better athlete. I want to jump higher. I want to run faster. I want to be in less pain on a daily basis. Maybe for you, that's running a particular race. I mean, talk about ignorance debt. Most people get into shape by signing up for challenges. That is some dumb shit because there's an end to the challenge. And what are you going to do after the challenge? And do you know how many people I've talked to that say, I had something on the calendar for 4 quarters last year and I got into the best shape of my life, and now I'm right back to where I started at the beginning because I don't have anything on the calendar. Well, how stupid is that? And if you need something on the calendar, which I would argue you don't, but I'm not opposed to people having things on the calendar that motivates them, I'm not opposed to that. But if the alternative is go back to where you started from before, then we're not accomplishing the goal. And so ignorance debt is when you rely on these challenges, these moments on your calendar to get into shape for something, and then you don't put any more on, or you don't know how to live a life just normally. Are you going to do a challenge every quarter for the rest of your life? What kind of stupid stuff is that? So why not build a program? Why not build a life where 80% or so doesn't really change, and then 20% changes based on what phase you're in? And so if I'm on vacation, I'm eating more calories, drinking more alcohol, and enjoying myself more. If I'm getting ready for a vacation, I'm drinking less calories, I'm eating less calories, and I'm probably moving and working out more so that I can look my best for that period of time. And other times, I'm doing the things that are congruent with the phase that I'm in. Ignorance debt is not knowing maybe how to craft some of this stuff on a weekly basis so that it makes your life easier. Do you know low calorie, high protein, high fiber foods that you can go to on a consistent basis that help you keep volume really high. Think about a trade, right? A very high value, inexpensive asset that you want to buy, right? That's high protein, high fiber, low calorie when it comes to fat loss, right? So most people, what they do in an ignorance debt capacity, they just stop eating stuff or reduce the amount of quantity that they're eating. So they cut out carbohydrates. They stop eating bread, pasta, and sugar. Cool. That's actually not a terrible thing to cut out most of the time. But what they really don't understand is that they're just solving for reducing calories from their diet. And when they introduce those back without a plan, they tend to end up over consuming again. So in a fat loss phase, if we can over-index these high value combinations like high fiber, high protein, and low calories, there's only a few number of foods. When I say a few number of foods, there's a lot of individual foods, but there's a certain category of foods that fit that description. And so if you can over-index those in a fat loss phase, you can make your job, you can make your life a whole lot easier, right? But some of those things might be kind of boring, right? Grilled chicken and broccoli may be kind of boring to eat. I agree, I'm with you. So how do we make it palatable? Well, we add low calorie / no calorie flavors and toppings, hot sauce and spices and salt and lemon and balsamic and Greek yogurt, and sauerkraut and kimchi and spicy mustard and all of these things that can go on top of some boring ass basics to make them taste pretty darn good. Is it gonna taste the same as a double smash burger? Probably not. I agree, it's probably not. But do you need a double smash burger on Tuesday when you wanna look and feel your best? Probably not, right? And so understanding there's certain gives that you must do, but opportunities for you to take more than you think, all right? I hear a lot from people that they feel like they're doing the right things. I feel like I'm working out enough. I feel like I'm eating pretty healthy. I feel like I'm not drinking enough. And that plays right into this ignorance debt theory of mine, because you don't actually know. You don't really know. You don't know what you don't know. And if we don't have data, then we don't really know. And so I always express to clients that we're more interested. I do care how you feel. I want your biofeedback. I want to know what your hunger cues are like. I want to know how your energy is, how your sex drive is, how's your sleep, how's your focus throughout the day. But ultimately, we want to drill down into facts. And what do the facts tell us? The facts tell us that your steps are down. The facts tell us that you're consuming alcohol 4 nights a week. The facts tell us that you're not hitting your calorie prescription, if you have one. The facts tell us you're low protein, right? The facts tell us that when you do eat protein, you're choosing too fatty of sources, too high calorie of sources, less ribeyes, right? Too many ribeyes, not enough lean fillets, too much 80-20 ground beef that you get at a restaurant or you buy from the store, not enough 93.7 or 96.4 ground beef. How do you make 96.4 ground beef taste better? Season the hell out of it, right? Use hot sauce, use Greek yogurt, use taco seasoning, use salt, use onion powder, use garlic powder. There's a lot of these things that we can do in order to cut down, pay down our ignorance debt. And much of that comes from getting educated and learning more. If you would like to learn more, you can find me at Brian at the Success Lift. You can text me at 917-709-4283. If you have a particular individual question about your goals, your situation, this is not a sales pitch. Just reach out to me, ask the question, and I'll be happy to answer it. I appreciate you guys. See you back here next week.